How Long Gone? Special recording time today for a special guest. Them Jeans back in LA. How you feeling?
Feeling pretty good. I'm still sleeping too much, but happy to be home. Had a lovely flight. The airport is crazy busy. Vic had to pick me up from departures.
Well, yeah, that's a classic. That's a classic. Yeah, when it's that busy. I mean, it is the end of summer. I feel like because Labor Day is coming up, this is like the biggest travel time.
Yeah.
You know, all these people with jobs taking time off to go to the beach and play in the sand. Sounds great.
I'm very, just like how you're doing, but I'm very glad that I don't have to go to the airport again, even though New York is already kind of calling me back every day. I keep getting these invites to these cool shindigs, and I think to myself, it's not worth it. I have to leave. But I got to experience the Delta One lounge at JFK for the first time. You've done this before, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah, I can't get excited about a lounge because I'm not eating any. I'm basically drinking water. It's just a nice place to sit, and as we've discussed before, you can leave your bag without and go to the bathroom. That's the main appeal of the lounge.
Everyone there is more rich than you, and they're not going to steal your Toomey.
Yeah, but it just feels like a Kempton lobby to me. Is that, you know what I mean? It feels like a kind of like a boutique hotel owned by a hotel group is what the Delta One Lounge feels like.
They're a little bit. There were some cool things that were going on. Like they have a full restaurant where you can sit down and have like a 3-course meal.
Yeah.
Which, if you're a weary traveler with a lot of time. And the menu did look pretty good. And then they also have like facials and massages and things like that. And they're like, would you like to join put your name down on the queue for a massage chair? Airports have massage chairs everywhere. They're not that crazy, but I put my name down and I got a text saying, thank you for joining the massage chair virtual queue at the Delta One Lounge. Your expected wait time is 178 minutes.
That sounds
for a chair, which is 3 hours.
I think the chair has the Normatec boots, to be fair.
Oh, really?
It's not like a shitty, it's not like a Sharper Image massage chair, I don't think.
Okay.
I know they have a Normatec thing, so I assume that is what it is.
But it was weird. It was weird seeing I saw a lot of very rich people taking showers at the airport.
I think that's a novelty. I think it's like if you don't get that opportunity very often, you're like, fuck it. And I've heard it's pretty good from other people. Like I've heard it's like they clean it meticulously after it's like cleaner than your shower at home kind of thing. Is what I've been told.
But like how dire is your situation?
I don't think it's
where you got a shower at the airport, or is it people they're excited to?
Well, if you have 4 hours to kill and you have to, or whatever, before you get on the next flight and you're going to sleep on the plane, it's nice to be clean. Or the other use is if you land and have to go, straight to work, then you can. That makes sense. I would probably do it just to try it. But the rest of the stuff is, lounges are pointless. I just don't really, like, everything's kind of bad and there's too many people. It's just like the airport, but you have to pay more money to enter the door.
Yeah, the menu at the restaurant did look kind of nice though. They had a corn agnolotti.
Yeah, but I don't want to eat.
I don't want to have tarmac hamachi crudo.
Yeah, this hamachi crudo, was it flown in or is it part of the tire? What was it again? The deal with this?
I don't need airport mussels. Even though I had some great mussels.
Airport mussels
at Pastis.
Airport mussels. Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's. Yeah, I don't. It's people are so excited about it, and it is obviously like the nicest lounge I've ever seen. Don't get me wrong, but it's like the nicest of something that isn't really that necessary.
Right. It's like damn, this is the nicest jail I've ever been in.
Yeah. Well, I don't have any interest in being at the airport early enough. It's really only for a layover. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't need to be there early enough to take a shower and go to the massage chair and eat a full meal. Like I don't need to.
And you don't have that thing inside of you where you can't resist free stuff, even if you don't want it, need it, or.
I hate free stuff. Actually, I prefer to pay because then I know I want it. Whereas if it's free, I rarely do want it. And I think that's true for most people.
Would you accept free tickets to see Oasis?
I mean, I'm gonna fucking lose the house on this thing. I don't know how. I would, of course, but I think that we're last in line for those probably at this stage. I mean,
we are not last in line. We're not front, but I think
Dude,
we are not last in line.
we're not middle either. I mean, so who knows?
Based on what? I get we get emails to go to free concerts every fucking day. This is obviously different, but I'm
Yes.
don't knock yourself, Chris.
Seeing
we're
some
members of the media.
Seeing some shitty band play at Mercury Lounge is not the same as the most coveted ticket in the world. The thing is, it's because like it's like Taylor Swift. Like it's like celebrities will get the, you know what I mean? Like Lena Dunham's as low as they're gonna go, kind of thing. Like I don't think, you know what I'm saying? Like I don't think, like I think when you look at a Taylor Swift VIP section, it's like actors, like celebrities, and I think this will be that. And the other thing we have to remember, which is frustrating, is that there's that whole level of British celebrities that we don't even understand that will want to be there more than anyone.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Thousands of East Enders extras are going to be in line for those tickets before us, and they have the same agent. You know what I mean? There's a lot of hurdles. I don't want to rule it out, but I'm willing to pay. You know that,
of course. I mean, you're going to have to pay. Worst case scenario, you sell them.
Yeah, that's true. I mean,
if you end up getting free ones,
that's true. I mean, I also don't. I mean, I've only been to. I guess I saw the Rolling Stones at the Meadowlands in New Jersey, and that was probably the biggest thing I've ever been to. And it was pretty. It's like it kind of. It does matter where you are, but it also doesn't matter where you are, if that makes sense. Because it's just kind of like the whole thing is the experience.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like I need to be up close to see which Spezials Liam's wearing on his feet. Like it's fine if I'm in the. I don't need to be in the nosebleeds, but I'm saying the seat matters less in the venue that big. I think, which is I know it's kind of backwards.
Certain shows and events and bands, you kind of want to be in the nosebleeds a little bit because that's where the real fans are. You're going to have the more authentic time, depending on how pissed you are trying to get.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah,
you know, I don't want to be in like a covered tent area with Sienna Miller's nephew. Taking selfies and stuff like that. I want to be with a bunch of drunk guys fighting each other and shit.
See, that's the problem. I want to be somewhere in between that. I think I want to be.
Okay.
I think I want to be, because I don't think that's why I'm not hitting Manchester. You know what I mean? I think that even though they'll be overjoyed, it could turn violent.
Overjoyed.
I'm
just so overjoyed to enjoy the music of Oasis this evening.
I'm absolutely overjoyed. Before we get to our guest, there was a big Charli XCX New York Magazine cover. David LaChappelle shot it, and the interview was by Brock Coyler, who is like, I think, gotten the best Charli interview of the whole Brat campaign.
Yeah,
I would say.
Outside of her appearance on How Long Gone, one of the best.
Yeah. Well, that was pre-Brat, unfortunately for us. That was kind of pre-Brat.
Ahead of the curve yet again.
But I really liked the photos are. I mean, David LaChappelle is. I mean, it's a different time, but it makes a lot of sense for her. And I thought the story. I just thought it was really good, and I thought it was smart of New York Magazine to let her write it, because I don't know. I just feel like it could have been like over intellectualized a little bit. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas this was more of like I got her open in the sauna type shit.
Pause. I haven't read the interview. I did see the pictures. They are breaking the internet, body tea, etc., etc.
Yeah.
The LaChappelle shoot, it did seem a little inspired by the Britney Every Time music video.
Definitely.
I don't think LaChappelle directed that one. I think that was the Asian guy. What was his name?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. You're probably right.
I mean, I was on set, honey. Of course I'm right.
Yeah, but you don't. You were on set, but you don't remember his name, so it's tough to say. Yeah, but anyway, read it if you have a New York Magazine subscription, or you use 12foot.io.
No, it was David LaChappelle.
Oh, there you go. So he owns it. He owns the IP. He can do that.
Interesting. We call that a reissue in the style of our guest today.
Yeah, we call that a reissue. Yeah. So our guest today, we should intro, because we're going to need some time. Johnny Marr, you know him as the co-founder and guitar player of arguably the greatest band of all time, the Smiths. He also has put out several solo records. He was in the Pretenders. He was in Modest Mouse. He was in the Cribs. He's written and performed with everyone from Pet Shop Boys, Brian Ferry, Talking Heads, Beck. But they're reissuing his one of his solo albums, Boomslang, Johnny Marr and the Healers. Comes out September 20th.
I think he's going on tour with James as well this summer.
Yes.
He'll be in all through the States as well. James, great band.
I've seen him play a few times. He opened for the Killers when I saw them at the soccer stadium in LA.
Yeah, I want to talk to him about the Modest Mouse stuff, because when we had Sir Isaac Brock on the pod, he was explaining about getting Johnny Marr, and he's like, all right, I'll do it, but I won't fucking play any shows. And then 9 months later, full
like
tour announced, and he's like, sorry, dude, you're in the band now.
Sorry, you're playing Australia with us. I know you're slumming it. But let's cross. I mean, the perfect guy to talk to for today too, with all this the Britpop return. This is the king.
That's a good point.
Let's give him a call. Johnny, thanks for coming. Where are you? Are you in your lab right now?
Yeah, I've got a studio it's on the top floor of an old factory and just outside of Manchester.
This looks like a lair. That's why I said that. This looks like your cave where it all goes down.
Yeah, but it's got loads of light. So it's a bit like a sort of old kind of loft space.
Yeah.
Kind of industrial vibe. So yeah, I mean, but the winters are long as you probably know, in Manchester. So it does get a little it does get a little nesty. Yeah.
A little nesty.
Are you allowed to smoke in that space? It looks like a smoker's dream. All those cement walls.
It would have been. Everywhere was a smoker's dream to me back in the day. I didn't discriminate, but the world is a very different place now. No, I am that guy. If someone was smoking here, I'd find it horrible.
You've gone full circle.
How long has it been since you put the packs down, Johnny?
Oh, 25 years or something.
Okay. All right. You don't get the itch.
Are you guys smokers or something?
Well, Jason's a little bit of a smoker, I would say.
After a good dinner, no better way to punctuate a meal with a fine ciggy, you know.
I know that one. I do know that one, but I did find that I was punctuating. Like, I was punctuating 4 a.m. wake ups. I was punctuating
sure.
phone calls. I was punctuating christenings.
Yeah, sure. You got to step outside. I mean,
yeah.
I think it comes up a lot right now because it feels like smoking is back with younger people and like our peers. Like it seems like it's bigger than ever.
Sure.
But then if you look at actual tobacco sales, they're lower than they ever have been. So it's like a very concentrated group of people that are returning to it. It's not like a mass trend, like I might have thought.
It's like vinyl.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see that. I think maybe it's just more noticeable. That's the thing.
Oh, I see. But yeah, true.
You see somebody light up at the hospital, it's going to turn heads. Where back in the 70s, not so much.
I find that hospitals are the place where you see it. That's where you see more smokers than anyone. You know, you see they're
stressed out.
There's a whole. You can unpack a lot of that. I have noticed that. I mean, I don't get go to get a bit heavy, but getting to the age where, unfortunately, the last 10 years or so, I've sort of done a lot of visits. I've been in sort of hospitals more than I care to remember, really. But you see a lot of people sitting out enjoying a good ciggy. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean,
in the gown.
In the gown is crazy. I got
ciggy chic
in the gown,
hospital chic,
open back with the Marlboro Gold. I love that. That is nice. Exposed shoulder.
Okay, so yeah, I would say this interview is kind of a long time coming. We're both longtime fans, so we appreciate you taking the time to do this. But it's also a very important time of the year in our lives where today another legendary band just announced a reunion, Oasis. And we don't need to talk about Smith's reunions. I'm sure you get asked that question a lot, but I would like to hear your thoughts on your friend the Gallagher's reunion today.
Well, they haven't announced anything yet, though, have they?
No, but it feels real. I'm not asking you to confirm. I would never put you in the spot like that, but it does feel quite real.
No, it feels like we're just seconds away from the official announcement.
Yeah.
But they've done everything but put the ticket link up. You know what I mean?
If they are going to announce it, they're doing a good job of it.
I agree.
That's the way to do it. I mean, to your other point, I used to be asked about Smith's reunions all the time, and now I just don't. For a lot, it became. I think it's become a little. Even people who didn't know it was gauche now know it's
gauche. It's gotten that far.
yeah. You know, I mean, it's even gone beyond. It got very meta, so it's even gone beyond. I know you're going to be asked this question all the time, but I'm not going to ask you about Smith's reunion until today, funnily enough. So it's got a bit more meta.
But I will. I was going to ask. Do you kind of miss it? Do you kind of miss people bugging you with the most annoying question of your life?
You know,
it's a warm hug. It's like a warm hug.
Yeah, it's. Yeah, I miss it like I miss Siggy's. You know what I mean?
Sure, of course. No, I mean, I think that
Uh-huh.
I just think that the excitement is really interesting to me because I feel like Jason and I are both longtime, Britpop fans and listeners.
Right.
It seems like we're on the precipice of Britpop fall, which bodes well for you and your contemporaries. I think it's kind of like this is getting the tornado is starting.
Winter is coming.
In all honesty, I know you've been a bit frivolous, but I don't know whether I don't know whether it bodes well for me personally because where Britpop I didn't really give a shit about, and I'm actually kind of like when it has come up, the Britpop what it is. I think maybe it's an age thing for me, maybe or I don't know, maybe because I was sort of in and around it or whatever. But when I think about it, I don't really give a shit about it, frankly. I think,
Mhm.
but the good stuff, like all kind of movements or
Yeah,
whatever,
yeah.
the good stuff remains really good. Like one of the best things I heard recently, a recent music was Graham Coxon's new project called Wave or Wave. You have to say it.
Okay.
Have you heard that stuff?
No, but I'll pronounce it right now. Thank God.
Yeah, yeah.
What is the vibe though?
Graham will tell you he told me it was sort of psychedelic, folky. The words he used were folky, proggy, pastoral, and I get why he says that. I
Mhm.
think it's much better than that and stronger than that. It's definitely. It reminds me a bit. Did you ever hear that band Broadcast?
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, of course. Great band.
It's very like Broadcast, and I hear bits of David Bowie in there, the saxophones and stuff. So, what? How did I get onto that? Oh yeah. So if I think of Britpop, I just think of good musicians. I think of the good musicians that are still, that I liked at the time. I think pretty much everyone I liked at the time is still doing good stuff. Great. Let me think. Gaz Coombs from Supergrass, his solo records are good.
I mean, it's nice. I think you're probably aware of the schlock and how kind of what that term carries more than we are. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, because it was like you were in the eye of the storm. So I understand. what you're saying.
Yeah, and the celebration, the sort of self-congratulatory sort of business of it was even at the time I was a bit like yeah. But unfortunately, my countrymen are particularly partial to a bit of that.
They are. Well, look, being labeled Britpop is still better than being labeled a podcaster. I can say that with 100% certainty. So you're doing better than we are.
Well, don't worry about it, man. This is a safe space. It's okay. I'm not going to judge you for that.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
All right,
I'm
gonna look into the Wave. It does also look broadcasty as well. WAEVE for our listeners at home.
He played a show. He and myself and Noel, we all played a show together, coincidentally, a few weeks ago, and it was great. I was really pleased for him. He's really inspired, and it's just great when you hear something you want to play again and again, isn't it? It's great.
That's true. It's so at a show like that, you guys are all doing your stuff, and do you come out as a super group at the end for a couple songs, or do you join each other, or is it just solo sets?
Everyone is just too lazy.
Okay, you're like, I'm not learning that shit, dude. I'm not learning any new shit.
So me and Noel, because we play together a lot in the studio, but on at least maybe 2 occasions over the last 18 months, we've been playing shows together. I don't know whether you ever met Noel, but he's pretty funny. And we come from the same, we come from the same part of town. We've got a similar kind of family background, Irish Mancunian and stuff. So I really get him. And he just came up to me, got right in my face, and he went, "You don't want to ask me, and I don't want to ask you, right? We're not going to bother." I was like, "No."
We can just move past that.
We both understood I'm not going to be offended that he's not going to want to learn how sin is now, and he's certainly not offended that I don't want to learn. Don't look back in anger. It's like, no, look, no need to. I don't even play the stuff that I played on records with him.
So we're not going
to.
Even the songs you already learned, you're not going to. Yeah. Well, we're prioritizing our green room time at this stage in our life. Maybe
that's exactly. Yeah, that's kind of it. I think.
Mm-hmm.
What's the vibe in the green room? Because we do shows, and our vibe is kind of a party. Is what we like to have before we go out and talk. So we like to have everybody back smoking and drinking, kind of getting the mood up. Are you more zen with a cup of tea, kind of thinking about life?
Well, I personally am. Yeah, but when I meet people, I'm sociable. When I meet people that I buzz off, the musicians or artists or whoever, I'm sociable, but if I'm also though, if I'm given the opportunity, I will go off and be zen. But that was a nice day when the three of us. It's only a few weeks ago that show we did together, and the truth of it, I was showing Graham my new guitar.
There we go. Okay, the new Fender. You have your own model, correct?
Oh yeah, but the one I was showing him was this Martin acoustic that I'm putting out. So I was very excited to show him this acoustic, and he was playing it. And then when Noel and I get together, I mean, we do talk guitars and music, which, to be serious for a second, is probably one of the reasons why we're still doing it, still making music, because at heart, that's what our enthusiasms and our first loves and our first passions are actually always at the top of our agenda.
Mm-hmm.
Seriously.
I mean, no, that's impressive after all these years to keep the flame burning, because I don't think that's true for most people.
How much else can you talk about guitars at this point? But you find a way. I feel like everything that could ever be said philosophically or technically has been stated about guitars coming out of your mouth. But every day there's a new journey, huh?
No.
Well, I just, because you put out a book, the book you put out is pictures of your guitars, correct?
Yeah. You know what though? That wasn't. Yeah, it is actually
just for guys to have a wank off to.
Wait to be. Yeah. wait to be reductive, guys. But
no. I just it was a testament to your love of the guitar.
Well,
that's
okay,
all. That's
well,
all.
Actually, you mean that art project that I put
exactly
some 3 years of my life into. That started off as because my friend Pat Graham took these really very artistic, beautiful photographs, quite abstract photographs of people's instruments, and that gave me the idea several years ago to do a book like that. And then I just happened to decide to use my guitars as the source material. Seriously, it was kind of the other way around. I wanted to do a beautiful book, kind of highlighting Pat's talents, really. And he just so happens to be, around a lot of interesting musicians, mostly American musicians. He started out coming out of that 90s scene. So there's a lot of stuff of interesting musicians that in the UK are a little more niche. They're well known to people who know them, but like Ian McKay, the Fugazi guys, and Thermals and Bikini Kill and that sort of scene. And there's an aesthetic that I know primarily from being in Modest Mouse, really, I guess, that is very dear to my heart. So I don't know, me and Pat, I have a lot of associations with the photographs that he takes, and
it just works.
Yeah, I have a real fondness for that aesthetic, so that I sort of forget sometimes how things are actually eventually end up.
Sure. You're saying we did all this and then, oh shit, it's actually coming out in a book.
Yeah, but it ends up being a lot of stories about music that I've made. But another time, I don't know whether I'm being a little abstract here, but what I meant by that was when Electronic formed with myself and Bernard Sumner, we thought we were being white label, obscure, 12-inch guys on factory records. And the next thing, we had a big hit. We kind of forget, this isn't false modesty, I kind of forget the context.
Yeah. No, I mean, I understand. Yeah, I mean that kind of makes sense. I didn't. Now your guitar, we talked to our buddy Jason Isbell a while ago, and he told us a story about buying a first class seat for one of his guitars because he had to have it on him. And I know you've done the same
Didn't trust
thing.
it with the baggage handlers over at Heathrow.
I know. British Airways can't be trusted. I know you've done this before.
You can put as many fragile stickers on there as you want.
When I would have done that, it was almost not necessary because the airlines were. No, I've never really done that actually.
You've never had to do that.
No, I mean, there's times when I should have done it.
Sure. You regret not doing it, but you've never done it.
Yeah, I'm kind of casual. I'm kind of casual, but I don't know. It's the boring truth of it is that now that I can afford to do it, I kind of don't need to. The way I've done it. Because the way I've just done my guitar, I'm getting very practical. One of the things I learned a lot from being in the cribs, there's a kind of a a principle and a philosophy that I like to run my band a little bit guerrilla. I just like it anyway, and the way the world is now for touring musicians, and I mean, as we speak, my gear is being shipped in a container over to the United States for this tour that I'm about to undertake in a few weeks' time. But I do like that we put all our pedals in our hand luggage and all of this kind of shit, and we do put guitars on and kick drums and all of that, and that's a bit of a throwback to my days with the Cribs, and I kind of like it. It just feels a little bit like victory to me, really. And a couple of times I've been in bands where it was very big, Pretenders days, and with the and stuff like that. And I don't know. I just like the idea of trying to be a bit guerrilla.
Yeah, but a little smaller. I agree. I get it. I think things like that can also spiral out of control. You know, things start getting big and people start doing wild shit, and it's just like, what are we even doing? You have to, you know, putting the pedals in the hand luggage keeps you humble.
So, I don't know. There's something I don't know. There's something kind of, I don't know. I kind of like the kind of street vibe of it. But obviously, then I get in a limo on the other end, though. When I get off the plane,
you get out of the limo, you show up, you plug all your pedals in yourself. You're there at soundcheck, and then when you go on stage, then you're yelling at your guitar tech before you get into the Escalade.
Yeah, that's a nice way to do it.
But you were going guerrilla there for a minute.
100%. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's a small victory.
When you go on vacation with the family, are you able to turn off the gearhead part of your brain where you're not thinking about effects and pedals and reverb and chorus and tubes?
I like practicing the guitar, and I like guitar gear, but stuff's got really small now, and so I bring when I go on holiday with my children are grown up now, so it's when I go on vacation, which has become a new thing, really. I'll go usually it's me and Angie, my wife, and I bring a guitar and I bring some recording gear, and I like to practice, and I spend quite a big part of the day doing it. But dicking around with computers, not so much.
Okay, so you're in Ibiza with your wife, and she's out by the pool, and you're sitting inside staring at the ocean, kind of practicing your scales, is what you're saying.
That is what I like to do, yeah. Not so much...
Okay.
I don't know whether they're actually scales, but the shit...
You know what I mean.
But the shit that I know, that is what I like to do, yeah.
So are you practicing... Are you, practicing, like in a similar way when you're learning, or are you just playing are you playing songs? Do you know what I'm saying?
The end game is to come up with new material, but I'm kind of easy about it as long as I enjoy it. I'm about to start getting into a period of writing again. It's funny, man, because I've just come out of about 6 or 7 months where for the first time in my life, I was kind of actually told by my manager, don't go in the studio, don't make another record. This,
chill out.
It's a weird thing. So I've been making lots of music, but I'm working on guitars and stuff. But that's the first time since being like maybe 14 or 15 that I haven't heard, where's the songs?
Yeah.
Frankly, it was getting kind of good to me. I started to like it a bit too much, so I've got to get back into it. So to answer your question, I've been playing just when I've been away, and I did go away for quite a long time. I went to the Maldives for a few weeks, and I was just playing, just purely a playing, not actually looking to write a song, and just getting into playing the guitar for the fun of it. And it was amazing. I've really, really enjoyed it. So, I mean, I'm always playing, but I don't put myself under any pressure. It's just something that I like it. It's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how there's a few things in my life that I feel the same way about, where it's like it some people might think it's insane, but it's just what I like. And I have to do it.
Like what?
Going to the gym no matter what, kind of. Like I will be in rural Germany and have to figure out what I'm going to do to get myself right, kind of.
Yeah.
I'm a drug addict, so it's kind of like, this is my new shift.
He has to go score, but scoring is a treadmill.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Well, in a way, though, being obsessive about, if you're kind of obsessive, spinning that into something that's good for you is really smart. I think. Why not?
I agree. Look, I agree with you. I think it's kind of the only way to some extent to really like. It's tough though as you get. What I'm impressed with from what you're saying is that I think it's tough as you get older to have the same kind of spark that you had when you were younger that makes you want to like really obsess with something and like drill down on it. Just the distractions of life get in the way, you know?
Oh yeah. No, look, I'm very fortunate because it's not like business doesn't intrude, personal life doesn't intrude. Things that happen to all of us in life don't intrude. But why I'm so lucky, is because I kind of identified a bit of a scenario where, because there is, running a group. I don't mean to, sound weird about it, but running a group, particularly this day and age, is a business. Like it absolutely is. And years ago, and other concerns, other things. I've been doing this so long now, and I've been through so many different phases that I found there was a time. Let me try and get this right, so I explain it right. But I think there was a time about 20 years ago. I remembered that I was having a conversation with my brother, and it was like I had stuff going on with crew, and I had stuff going on with, so I don't know, maybe it was, I don't know what, whatever, a record coming out, and there was stuff, and it was almost like layers on top of. And he said to me, he calls me John, because you know what, John, if all of that stuff is starting to pile on top of the thing that you really, really, really love, because he knows me since he was born, obviously, all of that stuff starts piling up on top, how do you deal with the thing being right on the bottom, the thing that you really love? And I was like, right. So I kind of learned, it wasn't like that suddenly magically goes away when, a couple of your crew drop out, or when someone gets sick, or just life stuff. It's not like it suddenly disappears, but it's good to be aware of it and try and just really try and honor the thing that you loved. In my case, because I loved it. I'm not the only musician who was obsessive, but I loved it so much from being a kid. I think it'd just be with such a goddamn shame if that thing got obscured, because obviously you're very lucky to make a living at it, and you're lucky to make money, and you're lucky to do all of that stuff and have renown, and people want to hear your opinions on all sorts of stuff. It's all very, but to some musicians, right, this might not matter so much. I'm not saying this is like this is some undeniable truth, but it is the case for me, because I know I've heard other guitar players over the years just go, you get to a certain level, that's where you're at, like technically and otherwise, and it ticks over and no big deal. And some other people go, I don't even practice, or I don't, I just rock up and whatever. And it's all horses for courses. I'm not saying my way is the way for everybody, but I just had to kind of be sort of self-aware, really, and try and untie a few knots. So learn some lessons over, and one of them is to honor the thing that I loved as a kid, because it just brought me so much joy. And life gets, life can get, for all of us, can get really bloody complicated, and it's the one of the only things in my life that actually can be uncomplicated, playing the guitar.
I mean, that does make sense. That does make sense when you think about it.
Yeah, it's a shame. I mean, we were talking about this on our previous episode about restaurants and how that's such a tough business as well. We interview a lot of bands and musicians. The touring business, making money as an independent artist, is very tough, and you're lucky if you're able to. And we were talking about how, a restaurant has to get all on paper, the business first, and then if you have time, you can focus on making food that you love, that tastes good. And it's sort of the same with bands now. Like, let's get all these people together. We'll make a spreadsheet, and if we can tour these venues and sell merch at this much money, then we could see about writing some songs, and if it makes sense, which is just so ass backwards.
No, I agree with that, because the few people that I know have been involved in restaurants, there's quite a few similarities, as you will know, but there's passion, obviously, but there's actually a massive amount of idealism in it. And that can sometimes really, when that doesn't stack up with numbers, it's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Because really, the people that I know, and some of the places that I go, and even in my neighborhood, there's a few places that are just really well-meaning. You just go, it ain't going to work, and people sink. And there's usually a vision and an ideal the way it is with a band, or I guess at any kind of creative endeavor. and then how it stacks up against with economics and in today's world and everything. But hey, there's plenty of success stories as well, which is great.
No, totally. What you haven't? I'm impressed. You haven't ever had to dump any money into a restaurant or pub, or do you have a pub?
Oh God.
We got a couple Holdens.
It's okay. It's okay. We've all made mistakes,
Well, I've definitely, I definitely have sunk enough money into not pubs.
I don't mean drinking at them. I mean owning them.
Oh God, no. God, no. But I've had a couple of pals.
Business investments in general.
Yeah, investments.
Yeah, I've had a couple of pals who own bars and stuff like that, and I've seen what it takes. And no, I mean, me and business. No, I mean, I don't know. I've never really imagined my life having enough time to have a sideline. Frankly,
do you have a sideline of buying and selling and trading expensive, rare guitars?
No, it's not a sideline. It's, honestly, it's certainly not. In the last sort of 10, 12 years or so, people have come along and made me offers that I couldn't refuse, frankly, because they just really wanted one of my instruments. But no, It's a weird one. The book was, I do feel like the book was a little bit of a watershed it was just a funny thing. So I did an autobiography in 2016, and it being an autobiography, the one thing I thought was going to be payback, I really did think I was going to get catharsis. And I thought, catharsis sounds great. Wow. It's like, I don't know, it must be like ayahuasca or something. Everyone who's had catharsis seems, oh God.
Sounds good. Good
so
stuff.
You picked up you opened the laptop and you said, I'll see you on the other side, Johnny. I'm about to go deep.
Never came. Catharsis never came. And But
okay.
And, I felt a little bit cheated about that.
Well, did you leave anything out of the autobiography?
Probably, but not too deliberately. Not that I can think of. No, I mean, with the autobiography, it was more. I'm more of a proactive person, really. I wanted to put the thing about the autobiographies. I just wanted to it to be a decent read, and I wanted it to be pretty I wanted it to be pacey and not too ponderous, but I wanted it to be authentic, and I wanted it for people to feel like it was ringing true. I wrote every single word of it, and I had a few agendas, but one, believe it or not, was very much to put the love back into the story of the Smiths, to put the love back into it. So. Because when you asked me that question, did I leave some stuff out? Well, the answer is yes, because it was counter. It wasn't because I was trying to be secretive or anything like that, but I had a general good. I'm like this when I do albums, right? I have a few considerations, and if they stick around long enough, I go try and do that. It's a little like when I was younger, when I used to make albums, I used to think it was the more considerations, the better. So I'm doing this because I'm spinning plates, but if I had 11 plates spinning, it was just something that I think was a smart thing that I learned just from being older, was just to have fewer considerations, but make them really meaningful. I'm getting very philosophical now, but it did help me. It has helped me. And I remember there was a time when I was younger, I just thought, angles on making albums. So for example, you could be like, oh, it's got to sound very different from the new album. It's got to have plenty of electronic stuff on it. It's got to, it's got to be good live. It's got to be, forget live. It's got to, it's got to have a bit of Ennio Morricone in it. All these influences.
How can I work in Boards of Canada into this?
Definitely.
And then you said you're spinning 11 plates.
Yeah.
Good versus spinning 3 plates. And amazingly.
I found that 4 or 5 to hammer this metaphor. Well, you guys, it's like a restaurant thing, right? So to hammer this metaphor into the ground, you get what I'm saying. So when I went into the autobiography, I'd already learned that, from running, years of running, over time, I procrastinated with that book for ages and ages till I couldn't put it off any longer, because I made a pact to my manager who was passing away, and I made a pact that I would do it. So I had a long time thinking about it, and the considerations that stuck around were worth it.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm talking about process now. I've slipped into talking about process.
Well, I think you may have had a little more catharsis for writing this book than you're letting yourself have.
No. What happened anyway? Catharsis. There you go. Let's get back on track. When I did the guitar book, the shooting of the guitars and the getting it together and pulling these guitars out. Wow, it was catharsis all over the place, man. I couldn't move for catharsis. It was creepy.
Okay, well maybe that's your actual autobiography in a different kind of way.
No, it turned out to be that way. And then, you can get kind of a bit mystical about it, but the guitars, it was quite telling really, because in pulling some of these guitars out, and because it's a tactile thing and you holding a piece of wood and all of that, I was reminded of who I was at the time when I bought certain guitars and how I felt. And I think that's something to do with the tactile nature of an instrument and what an instrument is and the relationship you have with it. I remember why I bought that certain guitar and when this happened and who was my pals and what me and the Smiths were watching on TV every night, what videos we were watching, and it was amazing. I'd go home every night and I say to my pal like, "Whoa, Jesus, right?" I was really. So then it was his idea. My art director, who's my mate, he went, "Listen, we got to get these stories on tape, and then we'll have that as a layer in the book." So because I've done all of that, I feel like the guitars, I may even say goodbye to a few of them. I feel like I've drawn a line under 40 years, really.
Yeah, you definitely have. I mean, writing a book is one of the hardest things to do, in general, as far as things you can do creatively. But I mean, was it full memory, or did you have like notebooks and journals and shit, or were you just going off dome?
Oh no, I've got a really good memory.
Really? Okay, well, good for you. That's impressive because 40 years is a long time.
Oh yeah, no, I've got a really. It's just a freakishly good thing I've got. And when I did the other book as well, though, Angie kept a load of diaries from back in the day, so I was able to remember. I'll go there and find out real little details about what was going on and how we were both feeling at the time and stuff. She kept a diary, so that was pretty good. But yeah, it's just the nature of the guitar thing. But so now I don't have a sideline, but I may have.
I'm starting to look at having a sideline.
Yeah, side hustle. Yeah.
So well, I mean, you're going to go on tour soon. We're reissuing the record that's 20 years old.
Yeah, that's a nice thing. Yeah, it's good.
Which that was I would say 20 years ago, late 90s, early 2000s was a very pivotal moment in music, especially for Chris and I in our age. That transition, electronic music is still around. New Order, they released what was that record?
Oh, was that Get Ready?
Yeah, around that time, the rock sound was coming back, Strokes are coming out, all that shit is coming out. You were experiencing some electronic elements when you were making that record.
Yeah.
And you mentioned, I read something you saying that it was a record that you can kind of put on and get spaced out.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah. Well, the re-release, really, I was kind of, really, I've been kind of flaky about putting that for years, about putting that record out a little bit, but also what I'm working on, it's always the next thing kind of, I'm so driven towards the next thing, right? Okay, I've got the next mountain to climb or whatever, or the next challenge, whatever it is. And I'm not really, I'm a bit like, okay, yeah, it's a nice idea. A couple of my friends are like, you should put Boomslang out. And oh yeah, that's a great idea. I'll get around to it. So it wasn't any weirdness that I didn't, but it wasn't any major, massive deal that I was. I'm not selling this very well, but
but you're saying you want to climb the shiny new mountain that you haven't climbed before. You don't want to go back and do it over again.
Yeah, that's it. I'm kind of pathologically like that, but I'm glad that I'm working with people now with the label. Were really they made it very easy and they were really supportive. Come on, let's do this. Look, we'll help you get this together. And I'm glad I've done it now. I'm glad because the original members of the band, I had to try and track everybody down to send them the vinyl and stuff. So that was all pretty nice. And also go through some songs that didn't come out and it still sounds, I mean, it sounds good and people are liking it. But that period, it's interesting you say that. I've never heard anyone express a kind of a fondness for, just shows you about everything being subjective. Like you're talking about Get Ready being like such a pivotal record for you. It's amazing.
Well, I mean, I love New Order, you know, the old stuff, you know, Perfect Kiss, maybe my favorite song, but then there was a lull, and then they kind of came out, and it was a whole new era, and we have guitars and distortion, and
yeah,
you know, there was a dawn of a new era.
I'm the same way with like Primal Scream. When they heard the Black Crowes and then sounded like the Black Crowes, that's my favorite Primal Scream.
Right. So is that what is that? Is that after Screamadelica? Is that?
Yeah, country girl.
Yeah, right. They're sort of minding that kind of Memphis vibe.
It was. I mean, it had like a William Eggleston cover photo. It was like Americana. I loved it, but like that is not anyone else's favorite by any means.
Well, I feel like that period you're talking about then as well. For some reason, I felt like kind of Coachella was sort of in its pomp then as well. Maybe
Give Out But Don't Give Up is the name. Thank you, Chloe. Is the name of the Primal Scream.
Yeah. But I feel like I have, you know, we've all got these associations, but I feel like Coachella was kind of happening there, and Coachella really made sense at that period. That how you described it. There's electronic stuff coming out, but yeah, the sound of guitars is. It was great. It was a good period in music. No, you know, it's good for one of my pals. Really loves Boomslang. The writer John Savage. I've got I really respect John. I trust him, and he's always been a big fan of it. And he's like, you know, that record didn't get fair enough shine. There was so much noise around you and people. I don't want to sound like I'm bleating, but I had this idea for that band. A six-piece kind of, no, I don't want to say a jam band, but a six-piece kind of band there was a lot of esoterica, I suppose. There was a lot of stuff that those people in that group were very interesting people, you know. And you know, we had Liz Bonney, who was this really cosmics to you know, it's not really the right term, but she's a really big thinker and amazing, and it goes into the way she plays. She was a big part of it. I had this amazing female in the band, and I had this great synth wizard who did a lot of stuff with William Orbit, who was in the Dub Pistols, and he's now back out in the rainforest in Australia, or the kind of what I like to affectionately call the glitter hippies out on the east coast of Australia. And that was married with mine and Zach's kind of like real love of sort of blues and electro. And so I know what I was trying to do, but people just didn't see me in that space.
Sometimes that's a determining factor. If they can't see you there, then they don't ever get there.
And so John's always said that. He was like, no, he just didn't get a fair shake. And as I say, I never wanted to bleat about it too much, but 20 years later now, I think people can see it in context and just judge it. The band at the time, I was like, well, we're not that different from Spiritualized.
Yeah, sure.
But because it was me, people just didn't want to hear me playing that kind of music. But now they can hear it in a different sort of context. So if they like it, then that's great. It's really good, nice packaging, and it's got like a bunch of more songs. And if they still don't get it, then that's absolutely fine.
That's great too. That's great too.
It's actually something that we've talked about before with other people creating different art forms, where, you know, it's almost cosmically perfect timing to re-release certain things at certain moments, where that is a very specific small moment in music that happened in our lives, but it never really had a chance to go, you know, give it a fair shake and blow up. And I think now the current generation of kids that are 21 and into music, they are super fascinated with that intersection of time, that late 90s, early 2000s, and they're digging into it deeply. So I think
interesting.
It was good that you waited, even if it may have been just because you were procrastinating or didn't get around to it.
That's a positive, yeah.
It's a little different, but I mean, like, even this like Portishead anniversary, people are going nuts about this, you know, and Portishead is like relatively niche.
It's interesting you bring that up. I'd forgotten this. I heard someone, because of that, play something on the radio, and I went, shit, this sounds really good. And the same has happened, which I was investigating this anyway, but the anniversary of Jeff Buckley's first album. It sounds so good, and it's that thing. It's a reductive way of putting it, but if that came out now, you'd be like, "Excuse me, This is
Yeah.
It's so happening, and it's you can simplify it, but sometimes stuff it's more than just the zeitgeist, isn't it? It's when it's got a heart to it.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of a good. That's a nice thing to sort of think about, really. That maybe we're in that place now where there's so much noise that if stuff has got a human personality in it, people are ready to.
Yeah. I mean, every album now has 75,000 songwriters on it and 20 producers and, 200 backing tracks and all this shit. And, the magic of getting 10 people in a room and locking yourself in the door and just doing it and creating it. And we're playing everything live and recording it as is. And we're not, warping the drum tracks to fit on the quantized loop and everything.
Yeah.
People yearn for that realness.
That's right. I think aside from the fact that you can feel that in music, and I think you can feel it. I think you can feel it in all the arts, really. You can feel it in comedy as well. You can feel the person in there. What you just described with the 15 songwriters and all of that. The one thing about it is that you can't get away from that. It's so kind of thought about. There's no room. So it's kind of good when people miss the mark because it's human. It's not like so perfect. And by that, I don't mean the singing's perfect or the, with every mood. I see that with Netflix and a lot of stuff where the idea is great, but after 7 minutes, you kind of go, oh man, every shot has been so considered, and the script is just so sterile and. Everything's been put under the microscope so much. It was actually quite a good concept, and oh man, and just all the humanity squeezed out of it. So I think that's people are responding to that.
Totally.
Yeah.
I mean, I also think for young people, it's like a new concept for them. If you're 18, like you've never heard music like that because it hasn't been what's popular or even talked about since in your adolescence when you're discovering music. It's just like it's a totally different thing.
You have to ask your granddad what The Cure sounded like.
Yeah, exactly. I wanted to ask you about the Killers because I'm a super fan. I saw you play with them in LA a couple years ago, and you've toured with them a lot. And you guys play each other's stuff. I feel like you do what you and Noel don't. What is your go-to? What song do you like to play guitar on the most?
In all honesty, when you were young.
Yeah. That's what I mean. That's the out. Sam's Town is the one to me.
Also, I have Brandon knows this. All the way through that tour, I think I did maybe 35 shows. I never missed the bit in Caution.
Oh wow,
he'll tell you that.
That's big. I mean, I always look forward to because for a long time they would bring someone up to play drums on For Reasons Unknown, and I was always like, it's so risky to me. That whole thing is so risky. Drums especially, like guitar, you can just kind of drown it out. You can turn them down. Drums is driving the whole car. Like you can't do that.
When it's gone wrong, it's amazing the success rate they've got.
I know. I've seen a lot of it on YouTube, and it's crazy. It's like from every age, every demographic. It's impressive.
Yeah, but when it's gone wrong, it's usually someone who's overconfident.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Of course, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And it's gone really, really bad. I saw a couple of those. I mean, I say this when whoever family members and stuff ask me about, hey, how's it on the road with the Killers? I always say with the Killers, like their first song starts out like everybody else's encore.
Yeah.
And then it goes up from there.
I just saw them at O2. I just saw them at the O2 in London actually, and it was just like it was crazy. Like it was crazy because it's like
they open with Mr. Brightside.
They open with Mr. Brightside, which is the coolest thing you can possibly do, And then, but I just don't think there's anybody.
And then it goes up.
As far as showmanship goes, I don't think there's anybody doing it like they are for 2 hours. I really don't.
Well, it's amazing that too. A lot of people they're so established. When did the first record come out? 20 years ago.
Yeah, at least, yeah.
Yeah, it's a really impressive sort of. It's got that thing though of. Life affirming, because what I would do my set, as I say, it was like, I don't know how many shows I played with them now, but like 37 nights or something, and I'd come straight off stage, and then my my in-ears pack would get switched to theirs, so I'm one of the band then, one of the and I'm in it, so I go straight from my set to that, and I've got this mix every night like I'm on stage, this 2-hour show. So I got to know every sort of live nuance and hear the way Ronnie's doing his thing, and on my buddy Robbie's, like hear what he's doing on guitar and keys and everything. So I got to have some real sort of physical experiences with that music, and it is that thing where even just instrumentally, well, you'll know because you're a fan, it is that phrase life affirming.
Yeah, I agree.
So good. There's a lot of good. There's a lot of good stuff going on.
What Smith song did you guys do? This Charming Man, or How Soon Is Now?
Well, we did a bunch. We did. We sometimes did This Charming Man, and then we'd switch it up and do You Just Haven't Earned It. That was my favorite.
Oh, that's cool.
Just haven't earned it yet, baby. Hearing Brandon singing that. Oh, and sometimes we did. Stop me if you think you've heard this one before. We kind of used to rotate about 4 or 5.
He looks so fucking happy when he's doing this. What he's doing, it's literally like this is. It feels like this is why I've done this my whole life, is for this moment every night where I get to do this. It's really funny. It feels like it hasn't worn off after all these years, which is nice.
Pinch me moment.
Yeah, I get it. I get it. We're all. Everyone I've met in all the years, some, very, very, very successful, famous musicians, whether it's Springsteen or Paul McCartney, we're all fans. I know I'm not the first person to say it, so maybe even a cliche, but we're all fans. And I love that about when I've met and worked with, the different musicians, whether it's Keith Richards or Hans Zimmer, been big names, but it's just the same as I had this new indie band called New Dad, Irish band. I don't know whether you've heard them. They were playing, and hanging with them and their enthusiasm for my music or new bands. It's a great equalizer. It makes us all the same. They're talking just exactly the same way as Paul McCartney talks about the stuff he loves, and it's a really nice thing. It's the great equalizer that we're all fans. And also, I think anyone who's any good has always remained a fan. And Brandon, he's really open about it. Doesn't diminish him in any way. On the contrary, he
loves Bruce Springsteen, and we all know it. There's no question that he loves Bruce Springsteen.
You can't trust a musician who isn't a super fan.
That's true. I agree.
Well, I think comedians are like that
for sure.
Yeah,
I really like that. Got
absolutely
over the years a few. I think David Cross has been on the podcast, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the craft of it, and they're the same. Comedians are the same. Maybe actors too, but it's really important. You got
no, not actors. They're fucked up.
I kind of was going to go there. I can't. That's where I was going.
Well, people say don't trust a chef who isn't fat. And, I like to say, don't trust a comedian who doesn't laugh. You could tell when somebody's doing a real laugh versus when a comedian says, oh, that's really funny.
It's not the same.
Oh, that's really good. That's a really good joke. But, a comedian who does a real laugh, that means you're a real fan of comedy.
Yeah, I think there's got to be, that's right. I think there's got to be a humility there. If you sort of you can tell when someone's just trying too hard to be cool, I think. So I think musicians are very, in my experience, very enthusiastic. About sharing their enthusiasms. Frankly, they're very sharing. If they just want to tune you on to. Have you heard this? Have you heard that? I've had so many over the years, so many great experiences with people that I respect, and played with so many different people. Whether it's John Frusciante, it's the first thing that we do. Have you heard?
Yeah. That's how it starts.
And then the business of composing and making your record and driving yourself nuts and being whatever, creative / pretentious / precious / paranoid / nuts is what you do on your own time.
That's great. That's good to know. Johnny, thank you for joining us today on How Long Gone. It was a pleasure. Well, hopefully we'll be able to check you out on tour in the U.S. with James. I know that starts pretty soon. Your gear's on the way, at least.
Oh, I've enjoyed talking to you, fellas. Nice one.
It's our pleasure, Johnny. Thank you so much.
We appreciate it. We'll see you soon.
Good luck with everything, guys.